Hi, my name is Rosemary Camargo, and today I'll be speaking about police abuse of power and police brutality. In today's political climate, it has become more and more exposed that police are abusing their power and they are using police brutality. Um, the main problem is that those who are more vulnerable are like the mentally ill, females, and minorities because they continue to suffer the consequences of police abusing their power or returning to brutality. It is important for the class and for students to learn about this topic because we need to learn about the flaws in the police system and how to combat them. Some of the ways that we can do this is by participating in making a change through protests, petitions, educating others, and even educating ourselves, like we have seen in the recent years in the United States. Some of the issues that exist in the police force are neglecting to protect and serve and not being able to properly respond to high-risk situations. According to Sabina Martins in the article titled Condemning Police Brutality from August 2019, a rape victim contacted the police, and instead of getting the help she needed, her rights were violated and neglected. She was subjected to degrading actions such as being denied her medication for asthma and diabetes, food where to enter the bathroom, and denied to contact her lawyer. And she was even denied the right to contact her own daughter to bring her sanitary pads because she was on her period. On top of that, she was slapped and subjected to brutality before entering the hospital for her examination only because she had stated that she didn't want to undergo the procedure. Even after she reported the abuse that she underwent and the denied legal aid, she still had to she still had to spend 3 nights in jail and she wasn't provided any legal aid. The mentally ill are also at risk for police brutality. This is because they might not be able to comply with a police officer's request and due to their mental illness or mental state. According to social movements against racist police brutality and Department of Justice intervention in Prince George's County, Maryland by Hudo and others, among the 47 county residents killed by police in the 1990s, 12 were mentally or emotionally challenged individuals. One of the victims was Judy Mary Mead, who was a 16-year-old and she suffered from panic attacks. She had called the police and told them that she wanted to die and when they went, she was going to point the gun at them. When the police got to her home, they pointed the guns at the house and ordered her to come out and put the gun down. Instead, she came out with the gun drawn and she told the officers to shoot her. They continued to tell her not to approach them, but she did, and they shot her to death with 15 bullets. This happened in the 1990s, but it still continues to affect the United States, as seen with the recent killing of Walter Wallace Jr. on October 26, 2020. According to the New York Times, he was a 27-year-old Black man who was killed outside his home in Philadelphia after his family called for an ambulance because he was having a mental crisis and he was holding a knife. He was shot even though his family warned the police that he was mentally ill, and they even warned them before the shots were fired. Some solutions or the pathway to spark a change are policy reforms and more training for police officers so they can learn how to better attend those who suffer from mental illnesses or disabilities. And also how to diffuse situations better. A reform change that can be made is changing the police culture through the code of silence that police officers hold each other to. Because according to Perry Lyle and Ashraf Esma in their article, they include information about a service they that we're taking. In one of them, police officers state that whistleblowing is not worth it as they would receive the cold shoulder from their fellow officers. And that's why a lot of people turn the blind eye to the abuse of power by other officers or misconduct. The wall of the code of silence that has become part of the police culture must come down, and it can only be done by implementing reforms that will keep checking for those officers that might cause trouble through the use of excessive force, but also to make officers more responsible about reporting their colleagues' trespasses. Other changes entail requiring the use of body cams for officers and changes in the definitions of what excessive force and unnecessary force are. This is because, according to an article by Barack Ariel, in exchange for granting police officers the right power and responsibility to use force, citizens expect police to only exercise force when it is necessary and to only use the amount of force that is reasonable, proportional, and necessary for the situation. This is hard to determine for a specific situation since officers have to react in the spur of the moment. And right now, the definitions of what excessive force and unnecessary force are vague, and that causes police officers to not know how to manage situations because they don't have the correct amount of training, and even less with mentally ill people and people with disabilities and also drug addicts. There should be more precise rules and regulations so that they can react adequately to situations instead of excessive force or just shooting. Cameras are necessary because they force officers to endure stressful situations, arguably accept some forms of disrespect. Without the cameras, he or she would normally not. Even if the footage can't be using a legal procedure, it shows the truth and it holds officers more accountable than not wearing them. These are just some of the changes that can be made for a start, but we need much more. And this is it. Thank you.